So before we get started, could everybody make sure you're on mute? Thank you. Shelley, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
One, two, three. I'm counting counselors. We'll give it just a minute. I'm not seeing Counselor Luke or Counselor Shepard.
I'm here.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
And Greg is connecting to audio right now.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hey, I see everybody. So I will call the City Council regular meeting of Tuesday, April 13th, 2021 to order at 5:32 p.m. Roll call. Councilor Engel, would you please start?
Councilor Shelley Engel, Building Commissioner, present.
Eric Page, Parks Commissioner, present.
Counselor Smith, Police and Safety Commissioner, present.
Counselor Luke, Water Commissioner, present.
Michelle Tesdale, Tourism Commissioner, present.
Greg, you need to unmute.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Greg Shepard, Street Commissioner, present.
Jim Trent, Mayor of Emergency Preparedness, present. Declarations of conflict of interest and ex parte contact. Hearing none, moving on. Announcements, items not on the agenda but relevant to city business may be discussed by the council at the meeting. Citizens are encouraged to attend all meetings of the city council to ensure that they remain informed. Agenda items may be moved back if a public hearing is scheduled. So under announcements, I get to, with enthusiasm, announce that we officially have potable water back in the city pipes.
Yay.
Yeah, only took a little over 7 months. Services that are clear are being turned on now by city staff. You may not have water yet if they haven't cleared your lateral lines or your service line. Go from there. If you have any questions about the status, they encourage you to call City Hall and they'll get you into the information that you need. They do recommend that when you first do turn on your water in your home, turn on all the faucets, not necessarily at the same time, but run each faucet for at least 2 minutes, if not a little bit more. This is from HBH today, by the way. And then also remember that this is a temporary system and we have temporary storage. And so we do not have the normal amount of water that we would normally have. So we are going to, as a city, have to conserve water for the foreseeable future until we get the permanent fix back in. But the good news is we do have water back and we can kind of start cleaning up better and living more normally. Financial update, our financial officer, Christine Pavlov, is not available, but Councilor Engel, I think you have the things we're going to go through tonight.
Ooh, I do. I am hoping to share my screen. So if let's see if Kelly can make that available. And we'll see how this goes. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you because I can't see you guys when I'm looking at my screen. So it's a 14-page document, and I'm just going to scroll slowly through it. So the first few pages are simply the bills that have been paid in the last 5 weeks or 6 weeks. And we have actually seen these, and we've signed the checks as such in the last few meetings. So this includes payroll, and then the kind of the usual bills that we have for towing and office supplies and all of that stuff that we see every month. And these are always available to anybody who wants to come into the city and see them. And so, but it is something that we should be showing every month at our city council meetings. And so I want to thank Christine Pavoni for making this available to us from now on. It's very helpful. Deposits that have been made, primarily building permits. And then this is a more important one, and I will let these sit here for a moment. This is our fiscal year to date profit and loss budget versus actual. And some lines don't look as bad as other lines. The one that is the most distressing, and we knew that this would be this way, is our revenue. Water revenue is down $17,000. And
Kelly,
yeah,
I'm sorry. All I see is your computers. I think your desktop. I see all your projects and PDF, little fingernails, thumbnails, and all that. I don't see anything.
so what I don't know what to tell you. This is the PDF that I have up on my screen. Maybe I'm not doing something right. Maybe that's the problem.
Does anybody else be able
Yeah,
to see?
Oh,
I don't see it either.
this is not my screen that you're looking at. This is not my screen. Let's try that again. Yeah, she
I
has
would concur. I don't have any of it either.
yeah, no, this is not my screen. I don't know what this is. Host disabled participant screen sharing. So what I need is, again, to have Kelly make the screen shareable, because as I said,
Okay,
that's not
so
my
we go
screen.
down to share screen. One particular share time. Advanced sharing options. So I hit share screen.
And then I'm going to click on it. I'm sorry that I said this was my first time ever trying to do this. So I'm just clicking on sharing screen.
I think you need to share the screen first.
Well,
And
I'm
not
clicking.
me.
I'm clicking on the green little share screen. I apologize for this. This is not my favorite way to do anything like this.
So when you hit share screen, it
Yeah.
doesn't come up.
Well, I'm looking at my doc. Okay, so I hit share screen. I'm sorry. And all I get is disable participant screen sharing.
Says I need to make Shelley a co-host.
Ah, well,
Mm,
okay.
I don't want to do that. Hmm. Well, Shell, I don't know.
The way to make somebody a co-host, which I only know because we're doing online training, so this is the one thing I do know, is that you go to the participants button and click on Shelley's name. And then there's a button that says more. And if you click on that, it'll allow you to make somebody a co-host.
Oh, okay. Hold on, let me get her. Yeah.
Sorry, it's a long pregnant pause. Sorry.
There you are. Video, spotlight, make host. It says make host. I don't know that otherwise, you'll be the host now, Shelley, if I hit make host.
Well,
We'll
we'll,
always switch back and forth between that.
yeah, that's what we'll have to do.
Okay, so
I
I'll go ahead and
guess.
do that then.
Okay, we're gonna see how this goes.
Okay, go.
Oh, there's all sorts of new things that have popped up. Okay, all right.
Go get your,
Hey, how's that?
There we go.
yay.
Yay, good job. Thank you. So that feels better anyway, being able to see you guys. This makes a lot more sense. Again, I'll very quickly now, the first part of the 14 pages that you have in your emails are the bills that we have paid over the last 6 weeks that we signed the checks for the last 2 meetings. These include payroll. And again, I'll say it again, these are available for anybody who wants to come into the city hall to look at this, or city offices to see these. They're the same bills that we basically pay every month. Then we have deposits, and these are mostly building permit fees, which is always a good sign that people are getting ready to do things. Then we have our year to date. Back to this, Tim. So I'm glad you stopped me when you did. Fiscal year to date, profits and loss budget versus the actual. And again, I will say it again. The primary number that is a bad number right now is that right here, we are $17,000 below budget of our water fund reserve. So at we're at 123% of our budget rather than 100%. And this comes as no surprise. As you can see, this number, water bills paid, 53,000. We had budgeted 300,000, and we're in the I don't want to say in arrears, but we are minus $246,000. So in other words, only at 17% of our budgeted amount. And this is somewhat what we expected, but to see it in real numbers it's striking to see that. You can continue to see some of the other stuff of the revenues, and they haven't changed all that much. But I wanted you to see that one primarily. One of the other numbers that I saw was our TOT, our transient occupancy and tax revenue, is down as well for obvious reasons. If there are no lodgings in Detroit, there's no tax to be paid. So that is coming out low at this time as well. Another one that I saw was low was the income that we receive from, this is very nitty gritty, but one of the things that I saw was, and I'll see if I can spot it again, was the income that we received from the county. That number is dropped, and that's because of COVID, because of lottery dollars. That money comes from the lottery, and with people not able to go into places where they can play the video lottery, those numbers have dropped down. So that's the first batch of documents I wanted you to be able to see. And then the second batch is bills. Let's see if this is the right one. Nope, I have 2 of them, so I have to find it. Well, darn it. Ah. The general fund report. Let's see if I can make this a little bit smaller. It's huge right now. So this is our general fund report that began on July 1, and this is through obviously year to date. And so there are some revenue numbers, our tax numbers, things like that. And you're able to see these, right?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Obviously, we're not spending a lot on the park. And these are broken down by category of where we spend money. And this is really beneficial to have, not specifically about the parks, but in general, as the budget committee starts to prepare their documents and their budget for our yearly budget. So these are good to see. This helps people be prepared. It helps be transparent about what's going on in the city and where we are with our funds. I hope nobody has very many questions because this is not my forte, but I can certainly show you pages if you would like of if you need to see something again. Are there any questions?
Counselor Engel, this is Counselor Smith. I do have a question, and I don't think you're going to be able to answer this, but I'm going to throw it out there and in hope that Christine can answer it maybe by our next meeting. And that is on March 4th, I noticed that we paid LSK Graphics $1,000, and I understand that was for the email, or not email, I'm sorry, secure, or the website design. That's great. And then on this last one, we had Q1 payment of $300, $250 increments, and an $80 security certificate and a $95 backup deal for our website. That's fine, but I was under the understanding that our monthly with LSK would be roughly $20 to $25 a month, and we paid them $475 for Q1.
Yes, I cannot answer that question. You are correct. But by asking it out in the meeting, though, that puts it so we remember to ask Christine to explain that, because that's a very good question. Kelly, do you have any information on that? Do you know the answer to that?
No, we looked at the bills yesterday. And that's why Todd knows what the charges were for. I can't answer that. Christine pays the bills. I don't, so I don't know.
This is Counselor Tesdale. I know about that. Lori talked to Christine and suggested to make the new website more secure so it couldn't be hacked. And so that was approved, and that's what those charges are for.
No, I understand the security certificate. That's separate. That's a separate line item on the bills. It's $80. And for the backup is $95. On top of that, there's $250 charges, one to the water fund and one to the general fund.
I don't have an answer. I think it's a good question to always wonder why things are being paid. I am famous for asking those questions. So I would say that let's put that on the questions to be answered and be able to get an answer at our next city council meeting.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing and we'll see, fingers crossed how this works. I don't know.
I'd make Kelly the host again.
I hope so.
Yes. And Shelley, that does not show that we have been, it looks like we're going to get more than $329,000 from the state legislature for lost revenue. this would not reflect that, correct?
No, because we had not put it in our budget for the July 1 fiscal year. No, that'll be a whole new line item that will have to be represented and accounted for at some point. Yeah.
And for-
Shelley,
Yes,
you're still the host.
I know. I'm trying. I realize I have to
Okay.
find you and then I get to make you the host, I think.
Okay,
Yes. There. Ta-da.
Okay,
Shelley,
Yes. Kelly or Shelley?
Shelley. I know we're moving off of, Counselor Page here. I know we're moving off of finances, but for the record, so we, I did have a question on our, payments going to our, to Bill Monahan. I know we've had a lot of, contracts, et cetera, but we put quite a bit of money out to Bill Moynihan, and I was wondering, and that's being paid out of the general fund. If we could confirm, I don't know if we're getting reimbursed with FEMA funds for that legal counsel on the FEMA related projects, or how that's being handled, but I just wanted to make certain that we're looking at that, even if and we may already be, but it may, how that's being handled, I'd like that question to be looked at for that end of it, if we could. So as a matter of the record, we look that up and see, if it's general fund, or we're getting reimbursed, or what's the coverage. I should know that with the FEMA Zoom meetings, but quite honestly, I don't.
I don't either. I'll be on a Zoom meeting tomorrow with FEMA.
Right.
And we will pose that question.
Perfect.
and that is on my agenda for tomorrow's meeting, so be aware of that. And just for those who are listening, the state got a page from Marion County last week that the Senate passed a bill for Detroit loss of revenue funding for somewhere over $329,000. It was on the way to the governor's desk for her signature. We have not heard anymore, but there was, from what I heard from the governor's representative, it sounds like she intends to sign that. So there will be some money for lost revenue that we will make up. Anything else on financials? Moving along to unfinished business, I am going to move under new business 7.5, Ross Day representative agreement up to unfinished business, because we did discuss that last week, and we should address that. So let's start with that. We have an offer and a discussion last week about making Ross Day a co-counsel. Mr. Day is an attorney, practicing attorney, and could act as parliamentarian for meetings. Bill Monahan, our COG attorney, has no problems with this. He said it would be very appropriate if he were co-counsel for him to be a parliamentarian, and would not cost us. Mr. Day is offering this pro bono, and so it would save us some of the money that we may be spending with COG and Mr. Monahan. So, does anybody have any questions for councilors? Do you have any questions, or I'm open for a motion?
This Counselor, I would like to make a motion to accept Ross Day's representative agreement and allow the mayor to sign that into for the city.
Motion, Councilor Smith, to accept the agreement with Mr. Ross Day. Second?
Second.
Second, Councilor Page. Discussion?
Yeah, this is Michelle Tisdale,
Okay,
Councilor
Tisdale.
Tisdale. I'm wondering if there should be a declaration of a conflict of interest, or because Councilor Smith has already worked on a contract with Councilor Day or Attorney Ross Day. That needs to be discussed, because we're not lawyers, but if he already has an existing relationship, he probably shouldn't be voting or discussing the attorney decision because bias.
May I, Mayor Trent, I don't represent Todd Smith either personally or any professional capacity, nor do I represent his wife, Elizabeth. I don't represent anybody that I'm aware of on the council. Counselor Smith has only contacted me in the context of his role as the city councilor. So I'm not sure who's telling you that I represent Mr. Smith, Counselor Smith, but that's not accurate.
Okay, this Counselor Tesdale again, then represent is an inaccurate word, but you guys have worked on a contract together for the RVs being in the state park. So you guys have an existing relationship, whereas we don't. And we have only learned about this particular ask for you to be our counsel last week, and it wasn't even on the agenda. So we haven't had time to process this. And for us to decide in 6 days, we don't even understand if we can have this job fly where we ask other representatives, because if you're on the city council in Kaiser and you're representing the city of Detroit, I mean, I think we take longer to make decisions on cluster mailboxes than we do these big decisions. And so I just want to put that out there in this discussion.
This is Counselor Smith. I would just like to say I have not worked with a contract with Mr. Day. I worked on that with the Marion County Commissioner, Commissioner Bethel, and Matt Lawyer. I did send it to him to proofread to protect the city and anything that could be a fallout for the city. And I think this, in my opinion, we kicked the can down last week. We all agreed unanimously for 1 week. This is the 1 week, and I think this has to be voted on today.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of entering into a contract?
Tim Luke, you gotta unmute.
Sorry.
Sorry, Tim, I was looking for your microphone to go off.
Sorry, I said I just like to, I confer with everything that's been talked about, except Counselor Smith. The issue I have is only that I didn't have time either. I don't think we unanimously voted to, put it off for a week, but that didn't mean we shouldn't put it off for more than a week was all. I honestly haven't had time. I have tried everything to get time to call and talk with Mr. Day, and I really would love to have the opportunity to do that. But and it's not that I'm for or against, other than the fact that it is a really serious and major thing. And I think that it's fair to give us more time to speak to him and so forth. And, with that, agenda amendments came after 3 p.m. yesterday, added to this agenda. And I have pounded this drum for 2 months, and I'm going to pound it again. It's not okay. We just can't be given this short a time to make executive decisions and important decisions for the city and our constituents. And I just feel pushed, really pushed in a lot of this stuff where, I'm in agreement. A lot of the things that aren't a big deal get pushed off for whatever, but things that are very important seem to be getting pushed right through. And so I'm uncomfortable with it. That's all. And I just want to go on record saying that.
Greg Shepherd.
Councilor Shepherd.
Yeah, these last minute agenda items on the same day of the meeting, I didn't get the agenda, the update on the agenda until 1:30 this afternoon in Staten. I'm at the coast right now for our anniversary, but I feel like I'm cramming for a college test. There's no time to really process anything and make a educated decision. I just feel like it's being pushed on us, and we can't really have any time to think about it, talk to Mr. Day, whatever. But you can't make an educated decision when it's thrown in your lap the same day of the meeting. We've never done that before, and I don't see why we need to really rush this. It's just,
Yeah.
there's several items here on the agenda that were put on at the very last minute, and we've never done it before. I don't know, it's kind of disturbing, really.
Well, we've never had this situation before either, Greg, you know.
Well, I know that, I
Sometime-
realize that.
And you picked them up today, but they were sent to you yesterday, you know, amendments were sent to you yesterday. But because I was asked to put things on the agenda, so, and not just by counselors, so.
No, but it would be nice to have like at least a weekend to go over, study, whatever. It's just.
We're having meetings every week. There was a
Well, I
meeting last
realize
week,
that, but we're
and
not
then another
changing that.
meeting next week.
Whoa.
Thank
It-
you.
it- my-
Is
well,
it
my point
appropriate
is-
to have the city recorder speaking?
No, we're fine.
Go ahead, Kelly.
No,
This,
we're fine.
this is
Um,
Council, real
You-
quick. Mayor.
Well,
I'm just saying,
no,
I'm just saying,
Kelly.
Pardon me?
Okay, Kelly, that's okay.
it's not okay, I'm sorry. You know, we're having to do
Kelly,
agendas every week.
I
And
got it.
so in order to get them out, don't do that, Tim Luke. We doing it every
Whoa,
week.
Kelly, we're
How-
good.
I don't know what the official is, but I want to make an objection,
Ladies and-
whoever
ladies
that
and
is
gen-
right now,
ladies and
please.
Gentlemen, stop,
Thank you.
okay? In fairness to staff, we as counselors have been calling her and having her add things to the agenda. If we're going to continue to do that, my recommendation is that we put a deadline for submissions of the Thursday before the next meeting, so that agenda can come out on Friday. And go from there. But that's, if we're constantly adding things, and yes, I think all of us do have to, personally, some of us do have to agree that some of the stuff is going to add at the last second because it needs to be added in a hurry because of the situations we're in. But to simply just put things, call and say, hey, we need this on the agenda, it does put them, I think, in a bind, in an untenable bind. So I would say going forward, if you have an agenda item that needs to be on, it would be due the Thursday before the meeting, so the agenda comes out on Friday. I do know that routinely, that is when a lot of board packets for different boards and commissions, and my experience, do come out. And yes, as council, we do the weekend before a council meeting has historically been, or a board meeting, when my service with fire district, that's what board members were doing, was spending that weekend going through the packet for the meeting the next week. So we go from there.
Mr. Mayor. Go ahead.
Discussion, Councilor Smith.
Mr. Mayor, I guess I'm a loss for words when we knew this was going to be voted on last Tuesday, this Tuesday. It was unanimous. Everybody was saying that they're going to give Mr. Day a call and talk to him about things. And if nobody did, that's shame on them. And I'm sorry, but Councilor Shepherd wanted a weekend to go over this. We just had a weekend. He could have went over it. And Mr. Day spoke at our last meeting. I just want that out there, and that's it.
Further discussion, Councilor Page.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's my look on things a little bit. One, we do have a little bit of a financial situation going where we are burning, precious dollars with our COG attorney right now. Once again, I did bring that up as to whether we're getting reimbursed or not. We do not know that. Ross is, to all the credentials that I've looked into, is an extremely well-known parliamentarian. And if anybody disagrees that this council right now needs some parliamentarian guidance to pull things a little bit together, and we're getting it offered to us pro bono, as well as maybe some other city legality work that needs to be done. I am confused as to why at this point, and we are in, once again, I'm going to remind everybody, in an emergency situation. We cannot continue to drag things along in our agendas. We have to keep making decisions, moving forward to the best of our abilities. And we're not putting the city into a financial risk by bringing Mr. Day on to help not only put this council maybe back into a little bit better parliamentary shape, but also provide some no cost legal counsel to the city. I would be at a loss as to why we would not move forward on this. I don't see a good reason for it. And if there is, I need some explanation on it, because it doesn't make sense to me. You better put the best thought of the city at the forefront of this, and that would be my call, that this is the best call for the city.
Greg Shepherd, I don't have a problem.
Shepherd.
I don't have a problem with pro bono work from Mr. Ross, but there were several other items on the agenda at the last minute, and we're supposed to make decisions on those. I knew about.
Well,
Mr. Ross.
we're only talking about Ross Day right now, not the way the agenda is working. So, but I appreciate it, Greg. I'm with you on the agenda.
Thank you.
And also, with that, and Councillor Luke, I also want to say that I want to make sure that Kelly Galbraith knows that in no way, shape, or form was this an attack on her in me saying beating the drum about the time frame and so forth. I know for fact she's doing her job, and I appreciate that. And Kelly, this isn't personal on you. This is about anyone and everyone that continues to throw things at the last minute. That's all. And I honestly have been guilty of that too, for some water stuff that needed to go. And I understand, and Councillor Page says that, we have to make some hard decisions and fast decisions and so forth. What I don't think is that making this decision is of any sort of emergency situation right now in any way, shape, or form. It was sprung on us last week without it being on the agenda, which actually does not follow parliamentary procedure. And therefore, I just, like I said, I am really doing the best that I can. And I take Councillor Smith's comment. Honestly, I do take it a little personal when shame on us. Well, some of us aren't retired. Some of us actually have families. Some of us had to travel to see our grandson for the first time to Chicago in midnight flights and so forth. So I could not speak with Mr. Day this weekend because it happened last Tuesday. I did the absolute best I could, and I just have not had that extra time, and I apologize for that. But normally we would have a lot more time for that. So that's all. That's why I was just saying I was not comfortable personally making that decision or choice, because I haven't been able to look into it. And anyone that knows me knows that I get 10 times as much done as a lot of people do. So it's not like I'm just sitting around eating bonbons and watching television.
Okay, without
Mayor Trett, I believe that there is a motion on the
there is,
table.
but we're under discussion. So I do have, without objection from Councillor, I have a question about the contract for Mr. Day. It does not have to do with what he will or won't do. So without objection, I'm going to ask one question of him. And that is, Mr. Day, if we enter into this, I don't see, and I'm looking frantically, if we decide this doesn't work, we just have to move. It's just a simple motion to cancel the contract. Is that correct?
Yes, or I would expect that the client can always fire the lawyer at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would expect that the authority to, that the council would give you to enter into the contract would also grant you the authority to exit the contract at any time. So, and in truth, if anyone's ever hired an attorney before, hopefully this is the experience you had. An attorney says, or if you decide you're not going to be represented by the attorney anymore, you simply say, thanks, but we're going to go in a different direction.
Okay, thank you.
To be clear, it
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
always, the client always has the authority, the ability to terminate the attorney-client relationship at any time
Thank you.
and for any reason.
Great. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to engage Mr. Ross Day as co-counsel for the city of Detroit signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Motion passes 5-2. Thank you very much, and we will go with that. So, Ross, I'm going to make you the parliamentarian. Make sure that I do everything right too in terms of motions and things like that. Thank you very much, Juan, for your service, and I look forward to working with you. Unfinished business, approval of policy F 2021-01 federal awards allowable costs. Per the city's auditor, policies and procedures over federal spending is a requirement under uniform guidance. The city did not have such a policy in place. The lack of the policy will show up as a finding in the 2021 audit and disappear in the years to follow if attached policy F 2021-01 is approved. Do I have a motion to accept policy F-2021-01?
Mayor Trett,
Councilor Engel,
I make a motion that we accept policy F 2021-01 federal awards at this time.
motion Councilor Engel to accept policy F-2021-01. Second?
Second.
Second, Councilor Tesdale. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
believe
I'm sorry.
Hold on.
I saw
Counselor
Counselor
Page
Page's
had his
hand
hand
up.
up.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got a sun glare on my screen. I'm sorry, Councilor Page. Councilor Page,
You're on mute.
unmute.
Apologize.
There you go.
I think I understand this. Is there a little more periphery on this allowable costs thing? Does anybody have just a little more shortened version of, I understand that we don't have this in place and we need it, but I'm just a little screwy on what it is. Shelley, do you know this
No,
one?
that is why we made a motion to have Ms. Pavani present it tonight, because we needed help with that information, and she is not available this evening. And so I still don't know the answer to that question. Thank you for asking, though.
Is this holding up a filing of ours, or?
As I'm reading this memo from staff, it sounds like it's going to show up as a box unchecked for federal funding, which probably would not affect us this year. But what I don't know is if it would affect us in years to come. It would affect the audit.
Okay.
Sorry.
I would like, I'd like to make sure that we have an explanation on this when we start talking about how we're reporting federal funds or allowable costs. I don't want us to make a misstep here without the correct information. Unless this has a timeline on it, I want some more input on this, that would be my discussion.
I'm looking at the policy statement.
Yeah, me too.
Thank both of you. I appreciate that because I don't have it.
It's this from last week.
Okay,
There's policy, it's very short, so with permission. The policy statement, it is the policy of the city of Detroit that all federal awards are subject to the established requirements as set forth by the federal government in the uniform guidance for federal awards, parentheses, uniform guidance, parentheses, and other laws, regulations as required by the federal award agreement and the granting agency. So it sounds like this is a requirement from the feds to have this policy in place, if I read that right.
okay, and I did go through that packet that you just showed me from last week. I've looked at that, and so I have that information. I mean, I probably didn't go through it with with a fine tooth comb, but I looked through it enough. I understand now where we're going with this. So thanks for that clarification. I'm good.
Thank you. Further discussion. All those of approving policy F 2021-01 federal awards allowable costs signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Abstentions. Motion passes unanimously. Main reason for tonight, approval of resolution number 618, temporarily amending the date, time, and place for the regular city council meetings. What this would do, what the intent here is, the city charter says we have to meet once a month. Policies and procedures, I think it is, says that we will meet on the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30. Because of the generous offer from the city of Kaiser to use their council chamber, where we could do it and have public there and stream that, we would like to temporarily move it to the first Tuesday of the month at 5:30. And so the ordinance is resolution number 618, a resolution amending the day and time of the city council regular meetings. Whereas the city of Detroit City Council adopted ordinance 157, adopting certain rules of the council prescribing the time and place of council meetings, providing of the appointment of officers, repealing ordinance 115, 124, and 134, and declaring an emergency on June 5th, 1998. Whereas on the 7th of September 2021, wildfires destroyed the Detroit City Hall building where the city council held its meetings. Whereas the Detroit City Council finds it necessary to change the day, time, and place of the regular city council meetings on a temporary basis. Be it hereby resolved as follows: the regular city council meetings to be held the first Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. at the City of Kaiser, Oregon City Hall, until said time that the city of Detroit can rebuild the city hall in Detroit, Oregon, and go from there. It should be noted that this is a free service being offered by the city, the use of the city of Kaiser to make use of their facility.
Could I make a correction?
Councilor Shepherd?
Yeah, the town actually burned down on September 9th. I didn't know. if
You're
you-
right. Correct. We'll make that correction.
And also, why did we change the time from 6:30 to 5:30? Because 5:30, if you're driving there, it's right in the middle of rush hour traffic, and 6:30, traffic calms down a little bit. But I just wondered how we decided to go to 5:30.
I think quite honestly, it was just because we were doing Zoom meetings. So that would be something we may want to amend and go to 6:30.
I'm fine with it.
Is there any, could I have a motion to amend the resolution to read whereas on the 8th of September 2021, actually it was the 9th of September, it was the second night, and then also amend the resolution to read at 6:30 p.m. for starts.
I make a motion, we amend the reading of the September 7th as to September 9th. And that we move the hour from 5:30 to 6:30 on resolution 618.
Okay,
I'll second that.
have a motion to amend resolution 618 to on the evening, on the 9th of September 2021, and amending the meeting time on the first Tuesday to be at 6:30 p.m. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I just saw something in the chat, and I'll just take care of it. I'm making a motion in the first paragraph. It says, I'm just going to, at the last of that sentence, last of that paragraph, it says, and declaring an emergency on June 5th of 1998. We didn't declare an emergency then. It was in 2020, and it wouldn't have been June 5th. So I think we need to correct.
That is just what the, if you look at ordinance 157, that is what that says.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
what, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. So we're fine there. So now we have a motion as amended, resolution number 618. Further discussion?
I have a question, Mayor Trent. This is Michelle Tesdale.
Councilor Tisdale?
When we move back to Detroit, it's going to be before the city hall's built. Does that mean that the residents that permanently move back to Detroit, now that the water is coming in and septic's going to work out, or that means that the people that live in Detroit need to drive to Kaiser? Is that the way it's going to be? Because we're moving back in the summertime, and that's going to be a strange rule to put on the folks that actually do move back to Detroit if they have to travel to Kaiser for a Detroit City Council meeting.
I would think so until we have a place to meet up there. I know that we should have a council chamber sometime next summer. That the bill that the foundation is into, my understanding, I haven't been to any meetings, is that should happen. I know at the groundbreaking, Rich Duncan of Rich Duncan Construction said they wanted to have a party up there on Labor Day. So I would think
So then we couldn't have a meeting closer to where the wildfire victims live in the canyon, Staten, Mill City, Idana. Why does it have to be in Kaiser?
One, it has the space for citizens to attend in person. Two, it's free, and I don't know that there's anything that says, there's nothing here that says how long this is going to, where we meet for how long. So I would assume that if something did become available as we get back into things later this year, that we could amend it as to where we meet.
Mr. Trent, or Mayor Trent,
Councilor Smith.
there are state regulations when it comes to city council where you can have them and what they have to have. And it is my understanding that the other cities don't necessarily are going to be able to meet that.
Right. And we are working with those cities with that city on continuing to be able to carry city council meetings on Facebook so people can join remotely, citizens can join remotely. Further discussion?
I don't think it serves the citizens that want to be part of the meeting in person to drive from the canyon to City of Kaiser. We met in a garage at City Hall in Detroit, and there is no problems. There's availability in Idana as well. There's a 3-bay area in the fire station. So to say that the only place that we have a choice to meet is the Kaiser City Hall, I mean, pretty soon we are just going to look like we are the City of Kaiser Council. If we start bringing on, if we start meeting there, we now have Ross Day as our lawyer, which I like Ross a lot. I haven't had a chance to say that yet. but I have spoken with him early on and he seemed reasonable, totally reasonable. But is there any more that we're going to add to the Detroit City Council to, it seems like we're turning into the city of Kaiser, and the citizens who I'm trying to represent don't like it, and nobody's talking about this. So I've got to at least put my objection out there, because to drive from Detroit to the city and call it no big deal, and then to drive home when that's your only home, it's dark and it's dangerous. So I think the council members should at least be able to meet through Zoom and not in person, because I saw a discussion on Facebook, Councilor Ingalls saying that that is not the way she wants it to go. And I disagree. I don't think it's right to make a person that lives in Detroit drive all the way to Kaiser and back home in the dark. So I think that needs to be tied in with this for this to be okay. I don't think it's right to force everybody to drive to Kaiser.
Further discussion?
Mayor Trett,
Councilor,
I think what will be occurring through the course of the summer is the majority of the city councilors. There was a great diaspora on September 9th, and most of the city councilors don't live there, and they won't be living there until things are far improved in the city of Detroit. And so what we have now is, when we sort of drew a circle and pointed to where everybody lived, it was the most convenient when this concept was developed, was Kaiser seemed to meet the best for the majority. Councilor Tesdale was residing in Kaiser, Mayor Trett was residing in Kaiser, Mayor Smith was residing in Kaiser, Councilor Page in Salem, myself in Portland, and Councilor Shepherd in the outskirts of Salem. So as when I say that, and Councilor Luke was in Philomath, and so nobody was near Detroit. So we had to find a solution, and the solution we did find was this magnificent space that happens to be in the city of Kaiser, and it met the needs at the time, and it meets the needs of the best location for the majority of the people all the time throughout the end of the summer. There is no space that is good for us to meet in. I'll get it. The fire station people do not want us in their bays because of the diesel and the fumes of their trucks, and then they have to move out the trucks. So we were basically not to be meeting in that space any longer, or we were going to lose our fire trucks. So to be clear, we can't meet in a fire station's bays because that's their fire station, not our city hall. So we tried to find the very best we could given the circumstances, and I don't know that there's a better circumstance or situation where we can gather that is appropriate and meets all of the needs and the requirements. It also has the ability to do, well, we're going to have to work on it. Our sound technician obviously is failing our ability to do that, but it really was the very best situation at the time, and the fact that Kaiser was generous enough to make that available to us needs to not be understated.
Okay, since we're in discussion, this is Councilor Tesdale again, and I'm going to read a comment that's in the chat that is backing up exactly what I am saying. And she says, as a resident, I find it a hardship to all residents that are still able to live in Detroit and the outlying cities to make it to Kaiser to attend the meetings. That's more than an hour drive if you are doing in-person meetings. These meetings have become very important to most, and limiting us to such a distance isn't good for the people at this time in rebuilding. And there's two other people that agree. And then we've also need to clarify, if we are to meet in Kaiser, are you going to require all council members to meet in person in Kaiser?
further discussion?
Because we are moving back. We are, the house that we move into is going to be up for sale soon. And I don't want to risk my life driving back to Detroit. It's dark and those roads are hard to navigate in the dark.
Further discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 618 signify by saying
Up,
aye.
up, 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 as
Sorry.
amended, 618 as amended.
Oh, thank
Right.
you. Thank you. All those voting aye for resolution number 618 as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Can you read, Mayor Trent, can you read the resolution again so we can know what we're voting on? Because I need to know if we're going to be forced into in-person meetings at Kaiser City Hall.
Okay, the resolution is whereas the Detroit City Council adopted ordinance 157, adopting certain rules of the council prescribing the time and place of council meetings, providing of the appointment of officers, repealing ordinances 115, 124, and 134, and declaring an emergency on June 5th, 1998. Whereas on the 9th of September 2021, wildfires destroyed the Detroit City Hall building where the city council held their meetings. Whereas the Detroit City Council finds it necessary to change the day, time, and place of the regular city council meetings on a temporary basis, be it hereby resolved as follows. The regular city council meeting to be held the first Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. at the City of Kaiser, Oregon City Hall until said time that the city of Detroit can rebuild the city hall in Detroit, Oregon.
So what that says is we are to meet in Kaiser until the building is built, no matter where we live.
That's what I would assume, yes.
A correction, Mayor Trent, that was 6:30. We had
6:30, I'm sorry, I didn't make that correction.
We changed that to 6:30.
I don't know. I don't know if this is procedure or not, so I'm asking at the same time, but hearing Councillor Tesdale's concerns, as are mine too, is we just made an amendment to that to go to 6:30, correct? Can we also amend that to allow for Zoom meetings also? That it does not have to be in person?
I believe we can.
Yesterday, answer that, or?
Sorry about that. I was having problems with my camera. You can certainly, if the council chooses to allow, continue to allow attendance by electronic means, that is certainly within the discretion of the city council. However, the public meetings law actually contemplates, the idea is that all of the decision makers will be in the same room at the same time, and it really discourages, it's the exception, it's not the rule, that people appear by electronic communication, whether that be by Zoom or phone or text or whatever. So the best advice I can give you with regards to this specific issue is, as soon as you can meet in person, the better. And if the City of Kaiser's council chambers aren't going to work for the city for whatever reason, you're always there's nothing that's obligating you to use the City of Kaiser's chambers. If you can find another place that's going to fit your needs and what it is that you need, and also what the state law requires, there's nothing that says you can't meet in person in Kaiser, and then as soon as you find another place, move there. And that's what I would advise that you do, that you move up to, as close to Detroit as you can. But for the time being, you meet in person, wherever that might be, whether it's Kaiser, the state fairgrounds, wherever. But I think you need to, my advice is that you meet in person as soon as possible, because right now, I'm not sure that you're necessarily in compliance with at least the spirit of the public meetings law.
Good day.
So is that,
Could I,
I guess I should have clarified.
Councilor,
Oh, sorry, Counselor. I guess I should have clarified more, you know, because of COVID and also of the travel at night and so forth for the people that are going to be permanent in Detroit and still living in Detroit. And so, you know, COVID has a factor on that. And I just was under the understanding that, you know, state legislatures and a lot of different places are still meeting via Zoom, and that was more than acceptable for Oregon meeting law at this point.
That's, the legislature is not meeting electronically. They're meeting in person. I know like many cities, city of Kaiser is meeting in person as well. The public meetings law, like I said, the at least the spirit, if not the outright, you know, the letter of the law contemplates that the decision makers are going to be in the same physical space, because when you communicate, it's not just the spoken word, it's body language and so on and so forth. We'll say this, public meetings law, it's an interesting question in terms of where you can meet. Do you have to meet within the jurisdictional boundaries of the, you know, the governmental body that you're representing? And that's kind of an open question right now. The general consensus is that in extraordinary circumstances, for instance, the city council for the city of Detroit could meet outside the jurisdictional boundaries of the city of Detroit. However, as soon as possible, you need to be meeting again within the city's boundaries. But I think the more important question is whether you're meeting in person or not, wherever that might be. I don't know that there's, you know, that, and I understand in light of COVID and the wildfire damage that those are a little different circumstances. But I think we're at a point now, especially with COVID, we're over a year, 13 months since it first hit, and we're about 7 or 8 months from the wildfire. I would expect that you're at a point now where you could probably start meeting in person, probably should start meeting in person.
This is Councillor Tesdale again. Deputy Chief Damon Faust said that we can meet in Idana in the 3 Bay. I suggest that since we're Detroit City Council, we meet as close to Detroit as possible to give the citizens a chance to meet us in person. This is not convenience for Kaiser citizens. This is convenience for Detroit citizens, and that's who we're supposed to represent. This is not serving the citizens of Detroit who have had a very difficult time, and they probably want to say a few things to us. So we need to be as close to Detroit as possible. And I'm sure there's buildings suitable in Mill City. I mean, that's down the road, or Idana, just like Damon Faust said that he would offer it up. So this is not a closed deal. This is not Detroit Kaiser City Council. I appreciate that everything's free, but free is not always a good price, and it's not always neutral ground. I absolutely disagree with having the Detroit citizens drive to Kaiser to meet us in person, or force the people that have moved back to Detroit, according to Councillor Engel, telling the citizens when they're actually going to move, when she doesn't know when they're moving. I disagree. This is not right. And yes, we should be face to face. Yes.
If I may, Mayor Trent, just an add, I understand, you know, I don't care, and it shouldn't, nor should it matter whether I care or not where you guys meet. But what I will say is the one caveat that you're going to have to make sure is that whatever space you use, whether it's the city of Kaiser's council chambers or whomever's, that it does comply with the OSHA, the COVID-19 OSHA requirements. So that's just the one. I'm not familiar, and I don't know if this city of Idana's fire hall is going to work or not. I have no idea, but that's one thing that you're going to have to comply with on any future in-person city council meetings.
Councilor Tesdale again. For the spirit of things, I think we're the only city that had our city hall burned down. So for us to follow the spirit of things, we also do need to stand up for our citizens and not the convenience of driving. And if Mill City is meeting in a place that fits OSHA requirements, then we can meet there. But to put us on in Kaiser City Hall with masks on, where we're mumbled and the people can't see our faces, we can't get closer than 6 feet from each other. We can't even shake hands. The importance of meeting together as council people, you can't even see the facial expressions like you were talking about. They're all covered up. So either you believe in the pandemic and you mask up and you're afraid to get together, or you don't. But we cannot sit here and force the citizens of Detroit to Kaiser. That is wrong. And you guys need to see that. I can't even believe this needs to be explained. This is to wait 2 years for a building to be built. Yeah. There are normal people on this council who have families and jobs, and we can't add an hour drive one way and then one back after a 2 to 4 hour meeting and it be safe. You're going to have normal people resign. That's not right. Yes, I'm angry about it. This is not.
If I may,
Whoa,
if I may,
Councilor Shepherd, had you stand up first.
Yeah, also, we haven't mentioned the beautiful hall there at the Gates Fire Department. We used to have our Federal Lakes meetings there. Maybe we can alternate instead of just focusing on one meeting place. But I also think in this era of COVID, we're not out of the woods yet with these variants and all that. I think, we should still consider Zoom meetings for a while until we get in a better position.
Councilor Page.
Well, I just, was going to offer my 2 cents on first of all, the fact that, we are in an emergency situation, and Kaiser was one of the first we were at League of Oregon Cities. Their offer was great downtown Salem because we had nowhere to go. But that was cramped, and the more tight the COVID rules got, as well as once again, one of my big thought processes for getting everybody together and what Kaiser had to offer was because we could get off of this Zoom thing and we could go live where people could actually hear what's going on with meetings and the Zoom thing for a lot of people has not, as everybody well knows, when we're in Kaiser and we're having to Zoom with 2 counselors from there, this thing is getting cobbled up. I'm also going to add, for over 2.5 years, I have driven from Salem to Detroit as a part-time resident, which I've been in Detroit for 51 years. And I have driven back and forth for those council meetings, snow, rain, wind, and it doesn't matter. I signed on for council, and I signed on in a city 50 miles from my base station. That was my choice. So, not all the choices are simple, but continuing to draw this out over something ridiculous that it's not like we're paying rent there and we're not committed to this thing. We find a better location come summer and we want to move it. That's great. But for now, it seems to me this is ridiculous. Let's move on.
This is ridiculous to you, but not to others. And you chose to you're a part-timer. Most Detroit residents drove 5 minutes. You can't throw this back on us. We just signed up for Detroit. We lived in Detroit. We drove 5 minutes down to the downtown. This is different. It's not the same.
Councilor Shepherd.
Yeah, we can't leave the residents out of this equation either. If we eliminate the Zoom, then they really can't see what's going on. And I believe we had COVID funding for that. We actually at one time thought the Zoom was a pretty good idea because it allowed more people to see what's going on. That's why I hate to see the Zoom meetings come to an end.
Zoom is not going to come to an end, Shep. That's not what happens. It's The people will be better informed, have a better meeting process because of it going live out of somewhere, whether it's Kaiser or wherever it can go live. It goes live and people can pick it up that way from wherever they are.
Counselor Luke.
I'm okay with passing this as a temporary thing, as long as we have on there that we can continue to Zoom so that Councilor Tesdell or the other ones that can't drive can still do that. And so that also that we know that if we can find a closer place like Mill City Fire Hall or something like that, that's definitely something that we can look into so that we don't have to drag this out anymore, but you know, that we just know that we are trying to look for a better option for the residents and our constituents.
If I could, one of the reasons that I kind of like the Kaiser City Hall idea is they have the ability, I believe, to live stream that to Facebook. So it wouldn't be Zoom, but it would be very easy for everybody to hear and see what was going on. And that was one of the other reasons I thought the offer was good for all of us, because then it would be a better broadcast platform, and go from there. My understanding again is that we could have City Hall available or a meeting place available in Detroit by Labor Day of this year, not 2 years from now. And if that's the case, and I'm the first one to say that we want back into town as soon as we can with these meetings. So go from there. So as I read,
Labor Day of this year, the
that's
hall is going to be built.
That's what Mr. Duncan said at the groundbreaking. He said he hopes to have a party at the new facility
In
on
5
Labor
months.
Day in 5 months. And I know what this coalition that is doing the community center has done these kinds of projects before. They did a 141-hour rebuild of the deaf school haunted house boys dorm thing in 141 hours. And that was a major project. It was 24 hours a day. No, they're not doing that up there, but he said you will see people on top of each other. So this will be a very fast build, according to him. And that's what I'm going with. So, and as I see here, it does say at the Kaiser City Hall until said time that the city of Detroit can rebuild. We could amend that to, or find a closer location that is suitable. If I could have a motion like that, would that be satisfactory? Councilor Luke.
I would make a motion that we adopt this with an amendment to state that we would allow Zoom until we could either rebuild or find a suitable location closer to Detroit.
I'd second that.
So
Motion, Councilor Luke, second Councilor Shepherd to amend Resolution 618 to allow for meeting at the city of Kaiser and allow Zoom and or until we find a better location closer to Detroit.
I'm sorry. Was the motion to amend ordinance 618 to include Zoom meetings and a more suitable location?
Councilor Luke.
To allow Zoom meetings until to adopt that, to meet at Kaiser, but also to allow Zoom meetings until a more suitable location that's closer to Detroit could be located. Just trying to put an option in there so that if it is a dark and stormy, rainy, or this or that, or it's very difficult for them to drive, or they don't feel comfortable, that they're allowed to do the Zoom.
Okay, so there needs to be a second.
I think we have
I'll second that.
a second, Councilor Shepherd. Okay. Further discussion on the amendment to allow meetings at the Kaiser City Hall with Zoom meetings until involved until such time as another location can be found closer to Detroit. Discussion.
Mayor Trent,
Councilor Engel.
one of the things that has occurred partly due to COVID and partly due to the fires, or all because of both, is Councilors Tesdale and Councilor Luke have never had the privilege of attending a city council meeting in person in Detroit. And
Kaiser.
That's not true, Shelley.
okay, I didn't, no, wait, I didn't say anything about Kaiser. I said in person in Detroit. That is what I said. I said that, that's all I said. And my point was the thing that is always fun to see is how many people attend city council meetings in Detroit pre-Labor Day and pre-COVID. And there was about 7. It was the same group of people that came every time, and it was wonderful. We had very few people that did attend. And so my hope is by making this so available to people that we will start to see 30 people at city council meetings instead of 5, because that's what we normally have, not counting, of course, council. So I am cautiously optimistic that this is going to make a difference, that by finding a place closer, we will actually see the citizens of Detroit attend city council meetings, because they have not in the past as a rule over the course of the year. I will continue to drive the 2 hours that I drive to attend a city council meeting, if in fact it is in Detroit or Idana. I chose that knowing that going in, but at the time, of course, I was able to stay at my house and walk to city council chambers and back. I have never complained, and this will be the first time I've ever brought it up. I too drive that dark and stormy road to serve the citizens of Detroit. And it has been a privilege and awfully nice, even in the dead of this winter, to drive to Salem instead of clear to Detroit, because I didn't have a house to stay in Detroit because of no water. However, I hope this brings people to our meetings. Thank you, Mayor Trent.
Thank you. Further discussion.
Not yet.
We have a motion and a second to amend resolution number 618 to allow Zoom meetings until a meeting location can be found closer to Detroit. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Abstain? Councilor Engel?
I said aye to begin with.
Okay, thank you. I didn't catch that. Abstentions? Motion passes 5-2. So now we are voting on the resolution as amended. Resolution number 1618, amending the day and time of the city council meeting to first Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. at the City of Kaiser, Oregon City Hall, with the allowance of Zoom attendance until closer meeting place to Detroit can be found. All those discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Councilor Smith, Councilor Page vote no. Abstentions? Motion passes 5-2. Okay, thank you. Letter to property owners to remove their hazard tree. Councilor Kelly, can you explain this very quickly?
Very quickly, the ODOT, CPI, Ziply Fiber, and the city of Detroit, myself have been having meetings in regards to the cutting of ODOT right-of-way trees, right of entry trees, city trees. But the issue of the day, we're having issues with private property owners that that don't have a right of entry. So this is a letter, and this was a letter that I did part of, and The ODOT CPI put their take on it as well. They put their verbiage in there. And this is what we would like to go out to the citizens of Detroit. So they can, so the trees will be, the hazard trees will be gone. People are rebuilding. You don't want to be rebuilding around hazard trees. And CPI has been having problems with taking the lines down, putting them up, down, up, and they're not going to do that anymore. So this is a time for people to get their trees cut. And so this is a letter that I wanted the council to review, as well as ODOT, CPI, and Ziply Fiber wanted you to review. So we can make sure that it's good and it's good for, okay with you guys, so we can send it out tomorrow to all citizens of Detroit.
Discussion on the letter. Counselor Luke.
Kelly, thank you for that very much. Thank you for that announcement there. I know that, you know, when I started to help put some stuff together so that this could get taken care of months and months ago for free for anybody that wanted it, people hadn't taken heed to that. And some people were holding back on, you know, thinking that there was, you know, money involved with their trees and stuff, which there could have been. But what's happened is, like you said, consumers is not going to keep coming up and letting lines down for free and back up when they know that you've had months and months to take care of this for free by just contacting American Underground or some of the other guys that'll take care of your trees and clean up and everything, get them out of there. So I just encourage people to give American Underground a call or get a hold of the ODOT thing and get her taken care of sooner than later, because it's going to become a liability for you in more ways than just money. And you're going to hold up your neighbors and everything from building. So please, let's work together on this and get her done.
Thank you, Counselor Luke. Further comments on the letter? Do I have a motion to accept the letter and authorize city staff to send it out?
I make a motion to accept this letter and have authorized city staff to send it out.
Motion, Counselor
Counselor
Luke.
Tisdale, I'll second.
Motion, Counselor Luke, second, Counselor Tisdale, to accept the letter and allow staff to mail it out. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. City Council in-person attendance. Counselor Smith, I believe this is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. This is something that I think at least the city council, I understand, you know, just amended 618 for Zoom and such, but I would like to see every city councilor, all of us be in the room, be it Kaiser, Mill City, Idana, wherever. I think we need to start showing some unity, and I would like to make a motion that city council will be in-person attendance and Zoom will be held for residents that can't be in person with us.
Motion, Counselor Smith, to allow for City Council in-person attendance with Zoom for citizens. Do I have a second?
second.
Second, Counselor Page. Discussion.
This is Counselor Tisdale.
Counselor Tisdale.
This is in direct conflict with what we just voted on. And we just got talked to about hammering this out by Counselor Page, saying that we've talked about this too much, we need to get it over with, and now we're bringing it back, and he just seconded it. So I don't understand what the difference is between this and the other.
The difference is,
Counselor Smith.
the difference is, Counselor Tisdale, is in-person attendance needs to happen. We've all said that. It's the meeting laws, the public meeting laws, and we are not doing it now. It needs to start happening. You've heard it from Mr. Day. This is something at least the 7 of us can be in the same room together, as far as I know. I get COVID thing. I understand if somebody doesn't want to wear a mask, you can wear a face shield. There are other options, but this, I feel, is something that needs to happen.
Counselor Tisdale again.
Tisdale.
We meet sometimes, like we just met last week. We're going to be meeting twice a month. Summer's coming on. We're going to be rebuilding, and to force us into meeting because we need to meet more often due to the fires in No City Hall, to force us into meeting is irrational. We are in an unusual situation, and to treat us like a regular city council is not appropriate at this time.
Further discussion.
Mayor Trent,
Councilor Engel.
I would like to encourage people to start physically attending. It makes me sad that Councilor Tisdale has not been able to attend in person yet. And I'm hoping that she will find a way or work it out in such a way that she can start attending in person. It would be great. And I don't know what the circumstances are or the issue or the situation, but I've never actually met her in person at a council meeting. And so I hope that that happens soon. And I know that Councilor Luke, I'm sorry, has made the effort to attend more in the last few meetings, which I appreciate. Same with Councilor Shepherd. I know that there are some of us that come hell or high water, we are making it to these meetings physically. I will not probably one of these days be able to make it because I do have, my family does not live here. And sometimes there is a conflict. What we allow for is 3 absences a year. And then what I have done every time that I have not physically been in the room, I have called in. This was pre-Zoom. I call in and I attend over the phone as such. But the magic of Zoom will make that even more simple in the future. But I would strongly encourage all 7 of us to be in person. Everybody knows that that is the very best way. And I think it would really, to speak to Councilor Smith's point, it will help us feel that we are all on the same team and that we are a team. And you're right. I think part of this issue was, Councilor Tisdale, it was the item was on the agenda, and you need to follow through on each agenda item. Therefore, it does feel like there's a conflict, but because the agenda item was there, again, Robert's Rules of Orders, we need to follow through on each agenda item. Thank you.
Councilor Page.
I think that seems perfectly reasonable. I don't think anybody's throwing the handcuffs on anybody. I think this is purely a motion to get, counselors in person so we can sort through the things that have to be sorted through in person and in council and go and follow state guidelines. I think, when I was sworn in, I was made aware of the 3 absences that were available. I don't think I ever used them all up, but I always certainly called in if I wasn't going to make it, which I don't know, but I think maybe one time that happened. But I don't think this is anything that's keeping anybody from being able to make a phone call and say, hey, I need us to hook up a Zoom because there's just no way I can be there in person this time around. But putting putting it in place that's what's expected as a counselor, which is really what is expected as a counselor, to be in attendance if possible. It does not seem unreasonable to me. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilor Luke.
I'm in agreement that the spirit of that, and just so everybody knows, maybe I should clarify. Last week there was comments from some people that everyone should be in, every counselor should meet. I was sick all week with, I don't know if it's COVID or not. You want me to come? I'll show up. Otherwise, you probably shouldn't judge, and I came to the one before that. So I think I've only missed one that was in meeting in person. So I think we should just realize that if somebody can't be there, I think it's a fantastic thing to be able to do the Zoom. Now, just so you know, I plan on being there, whether it's at Kaiser, Mill City, Idana, But if for some reason I'm ill, I think it's far more important that we can be available by Zoom. Or if someone else is ill and there's a COVID situation or anything going on, I just think it's really important to keep that option open, whether it be for whatever reason. I don't think any of us are trying to not be there in person. I know that I do want to be there in person, and I was not last week because on Tuesday is the first day I felt decent, and my wife also. So I got a chuckle out of that, kind of got a little bit of flack for not being there. I'm like, well, if you want me to show up with a fever and a cough, I'd be happy to. So, right. So I just think that, I don't think Councillor Tisdale doesn't not want to be there in person. She would rather be there in person closer to home. I get that. And I want to do that too. I'm going to start rebuilding shortly and probably work until midnight with just no nail guns, right, Shelley? And making too much noise. But I think that's the spirit of it. The spirit is good. We want to be there. We want to be there in person. We just don't want to have the letter of the law that we can't for a number of reasons. And so that's all.
It's Councillor Tisdale again. Comment in the chat says, until the state lifts all COVID restrictions, it is not fair to pressure councillors to attend in person. If I were still on the council, I would not feel comfortable attending in person now. Why not leave Zoom as an option for councillors until restrictions are lifted? Another one says state board meetings are on Zoom or Teams. And I would love to meet in person. I've got no problems with it. I have not been sick for a year and a half, and my job requires us to telework. So to ask me or any other council members who don't feel comfortable with the COVID regulations and the masks to say that we need to meet in person, I think goes against governor's orders. So I wanted to add that.
Councillor Smith.
So, I get the Zoom thing for residents, and my concern with some of this and why we're trying to find a better way for public testimony. Right now, we haven't had a meeting with, I know residents, like Councillor Tisdale said, they have things they'd like to say, of course, but we have no way of hearing them because we don't have any way of doing public testimony. So that's why I think we, once again, need to be in person ourselves. And I know there are several other city council cities that are doing in person. And I'm not talking about Kaiser. I know Salem's doing it. I know a lot of the little towns are doing it. I think this is a no-brainer, and we need to be in person when possible. If there's something comes up, illness, you're on vacation, whatever, you just got to let the mayor know. And I mean, it's not like we're saying you have to be at every one. We're saying, we'd like to have everybody in there. And I appreciate Councillor Luke, who probably would have to travel the furthest, is open to the idea and supportive. So that's all I have.
I'm open to the idea too. This is Councillor Tisdale again. Just because I'm coming across straightforward doesn't mean I'm not open to it. There are public comments at the end of each meeting. If the citizens want to go to the city of Kaiser, they can and make the public comments, no one's stopping them. And also same with the Zoom meeting. So I disagree with that, saying that the public comments cannot happen.
Well, according to open meeting laws, we have to allow for public comment, but it does not mean that it has to be done by, it can be done by Zoom. Maybe Mr. Day could tell me that.
You actually don't have to allow, there's no absolute requirement that you allow public testimony, public comment of any kind. But I think it would, public participation other than land use proceedings of any kind. So, the tradition in Oregon, of course, is to allow people to comment, provide public comment, but how that's done is entirely up to the governing body.
Sounds good. I just know it's been on our agenda forever, and the expectation you had to be there because we didn't Zoom or didn't broadcast on social media the meetings. So go with that. Further discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of the motion to require, is that, state your motion again, Councilor Smith.
To have in-person city council meetings with all city council and the mayor and the staff. And whether it is in Kaiser, Detroit, Ident, wherever our meetings are held. And of course, we'll be following the OSHA guidelines with masks and all and such.
Ross, is it okay if I condense that?
Well, I think somebody, no, the short answer is no, it's not.
Okay.
So that's the motion. I think everyone heard it. It's been seconded by Councilor Page, so I think it's appropriate to call for the question.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion fails 4-3. Okay, thank you. Moving along, 7.4. Scott McClure is was worked with Marion County. He's the new long-term disaster recovery manager. Scott, are you there? I understand you were supposed to join us.
It's true. Thank
There
you.
you are. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, so yeah, just a way of introduction. So Scott McClure, I was hired as long-term disaster recovery manager, a multi-syllabic, job title. Kind of the idea behind it, the county's been doing amazing things for all the canyon communities. They brought me in to basically weave everything together, lots of efforts, lots of different departments. So I've been learning from the ground up everything you guys have been dealing with, getting at the local level, the state agencies, all the partners, what all the county departments are doing, kind of jumping in, trying to make sense of all of it. And then I'll be in this position, for a number of years, trying to just kind of focus on efforts. One we have coming up is in a couple of the grants we have. We had some studies coming that we definitely want, perspectives on the ground. That's the entire point with a health assessment, housing, a little bit of economic development, seeing how we can move forward the best with all the changes in the canyon. So I'm there to weave everything together. I'm there to help you guys out. That's the whole point of, why the county stepped up, and I'm here to help. If you have any questions, you can definitely get a hold of me. I thought what I might do is send my contact information to Kelly, and she could forward it out to the council so you'd have that.
Great, thank you. And welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay. and all. Okay, so moving along again, 7.6, authorization to purchase and install water quality monitoring equipment. Matt Del Mo, you're up.
Yeah, so now that we've got treated water coming into, to some undamaged residents, we're still working on the effort to get damaged properties still surveyed and evaluated and sampled, tested. But our next kind of big critical item outside of getting a building built back up for the treatment plant is it's going to be incredibly important in the coming really weeks and month or so to get some sort of water quality monitoring equipment installed. So that we can monitor the quality of, the city can monitor the quality of the Brighton-Bush River and Mackey Creek. And what that's going to tell us is that'll start providing some background data for future treatment equipment, but it'll also more importantly tell us when the sand filters can be brought back online. And kind of the big push on this, and I apologize for the late notice on it, is we are starting to get to the point in the year where valuable data is going to be incredibly hard to get. Typically in the summer months, you are going to have crystal clear water, and that's not going to, give you a good idea what difficulties you're going to face in the spring, fall, and winter time. So the sooner we can get some monitoring equipment installed, the better. And it might be one of those things that we put off a week or so, because I was promised some quotes by today that did not come. So I don't have the correct equipment selected yet, but my guess is price range on that equipment is going to be about $10,000, less than $10,000 installed. And that will just start providing, let the city start collecting background data that can be used in the future. So that's kind of where we're at on that. That's the next big priority. I've been looking ahead at the weather in Detroit, and actually there's great weather this week. It looks like on the 10-day forecast, we're going to start seeing some more rain coming in towards the end of next week and into the following week. At that point, that's going to be where you're going to get some important information from. I don't know if we'll be able to get equipment by then, but I guess it's something I wanted to get out there at this council meeting. Whether or not a decision is made tonight is obviously difficult since we don't have exact equipment put out there, but something that needs to be kind of at the forefront of the city's radar is we need to get monitoring equipment in those creeks, in the creek and the river, as soon as we can. So that's kind of all I have at this point.
Okay. Councilor Luke?
I was just gonna ask, Matt, did you, where does the funding come from if we approve this? Do you have that
Right,
lined up?
and that was my bad. I meant to touch on that a little bit. So I reached out to the insurance company today. I believe that this one's a little bit grayer area. I think it should be an eligible extra expense item from the insurance company. I mean, this is something you would not have had to do without the wildfire. So to me, that seems like a kind of clear cut and dry category for that. It's an expense you are incurring because of this. If they say no, there is no hesitation in my mind that FEMA would cover it. So it's kind of one or the other, and we have a monitoring project, and that's something I can actually bring up with FEMA tomorrow. So this would not be an expense incurred by the city. It would come from my first choice or first lean on this would be the insurance extra expense. After that, then FEMA would be the fallback option there.
And how much of that, how much of the 100,000 that a month or so ago that we approved have we used thus far to get the temporary system in and so on and so forth? And is there money left over in that amount already, or was it all used up or close to it with getting the temp system in, getting Mackie back online, and getting the VFDs and so forth that we're going to put in?
Yeah, so the VFDs were actually not a part of that 100,000. The 100,000 was for the construction of the temporary structure and paying for some initial expenses from West Tech, the startup costs, first month rent, ship freight, things like that. And those are all broken out into about 4 different invoices. So I don't have off the top of my head. My guess is there won't quite be enough. I think we came in just slightly under that, but I don't think there will be quite enough to pay for all of it under that. And I think either way, insurance would probably want that approved separate anyways. Just because it's different work. Yeah, so I guess I think we came in a little bit under budget on that extra expense item, but I still think we would have to go through insurance again either way.
Councilor Shepherd?
Yeah, Matt, are we going to monitor the Mackey Creek and the Brighton Bush both?
Yes. So, and kind of the struggle, and not to get into it too much, that we're kind of looking at is you use those water sources seasonally. So that makes it actually a little bit more challenging to monitor because you don't have constant flow through each of those pipes. It's usually one or the other. So that makes it difficult to get consistent data. So we're looking at in-stream options or off the bank options that we can just attach to the existing intakes. Yeah, that I guess it would go in both water sources.
And what is the output right now with the water? How many gallons a minute?
So we are doing 70 gallons a minute is they're hitting the capacity of the treatment plant. They've had some kind of kinks getting it started up, but West Tech's been very responsive into working with Bob to get those addressed. So for the first week or so, we haven't been able to go 24/7 on the plant. We haven't needed it, so that's not a big deal. But we're at the 70 gallons a minute right now, and there's, I guess, nothing really is happening that has me concerned with any of those kinks, just normal kinks of getting a new system up and running.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Further questions? Well, I know, Matt, we were expecting some figures today. So
Yeah, and I apologize for that. I was really hopeful that I would have them today. They did not come through, so we'll probably just have to put it off. But I do want to, I guess, the next available meeting, I think it's going to be important to move, once we do have those figures and I can get them sent to you, to move as, I guess, quickly on that. So I will try and keep you all posted on as soon as I can get any info on it.
That's the figures for this
the-
monitoring?
Yes, for the monitoring equipment.
Oh, so you were saying you thought it would come in under 10,000, but you
Yeah,
didn't.
so
have a
that's
real
kind of
budget
what my
for it.
thought is. I've just kind of been browsing on the suppliers' websites, and some of the probes that we're looking at are $1,100 a piece. But that's just the monitoring probe. So I'm looking for some data recorders. Mackey Creek is a little bit challenging because obviously there's no power nearby. So we're trying to find some data loggers that can be battery operated and have, long lasting batteries so that they don't have to be changed more than, a couple times a year or something like that.
Is
So-
it even reasonable or prudent to be able to approve up to a certain amount? Or would people be comfortable with that so that we wouldn't have to revisit this if it was something that we could just continue to move forward? Like, I'm just using round numbers, but would you think that 6,000 or 8,000 or 10,000 or something, from what do you have enough, do you feel, to be comfortable to be within a couple $1,000s of that to be safe? And then, of course, we would look at that budget, item down the road. I don't want to say here's extra free money or anything like that. I'm just saying, if we know an idea, would it be reasonable?
Mr. Day?
So there are public contracting laws, okay? Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. Anything less than $10,000, the city can award the procurement however they like, okay? In the manner that's most expedient. You have significant issues here. I appreciate what Mr. Del Moro is talking about here. First, he told you that it might come from insurance money, and then he's telling you that it's going to come from FEMA money. Before you guys agree on anything, okay, commit yourself to anything, I would make sure you know who's going to pay for it and how much. I think because if it's $11,000 and you guys approve it, you've just violated the state public contracting laws. So the smart thing to do, in my opinion, I'm just your attorney, so you don't have to listen to me, but I appreciate what Mr. Del Moro is saying. I think what you ought to do is come back once you know who's paying for it and how much they're paying for. And you can always schedule a special meeting of the city council if there's a decision that needs to be made right away where you only address one issue.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the cleanest way to do it. I will say I might need some help from the city on getting an expedient response from the insurance company. I have been striking out lately on getting responses from them. So if,
So-
which I,
Can I make a suggestion? I apologize for interrupting, but they've got my contact information. Get a hold of me tomorrow morning. Usually 99 times out of 100, when an insurance company gets a letter from a lawyer, they usually jump right on it. They don't like lawyers. For good reason. I don't like lawyers either, but you know.
So
So-
Matt, go ahead.
go ahead, Jim.
But do you think you could have those numbers? We're supposed to be meeting the first and third Tuesdays regularly. Do you think you could have that information by next week?
So are you still planning on doing the third Tuesday? 'Cause I think the third Tuesday would be the week after next.
Okay, well, so I can't read a calendar. Yeah, you're right. So would you have it by the third Tuesday?
Yes, I should. Well, hopeful. I don't see any reason why it would take a supplier that long to get me a quote.
So without objection, I'll move this forward to the next.
The right is to table it until the next
Yeah.
meeting.
So do I have a motion to table this? Thank you. Table this till the next meeting of the council scheduled for. I'm looking at next week as being the third Tuesday.
Oh, you are right. Sorry, I'm the one that can't read a calendar.
And then if we have to, we could move it again. So do I have a motion to table this until the April 20th meeting?
Mayor Trent?
Go ahead, Shelley.
Oh, okay. I make a motion that we table this discussion on spending money for the water treatment testing system until the third Tuesday, April 20th.
I have a motion, Councilor Tesdale, to table the motion for water treatment testing equipment till the April 20th meeting of the Detroit City Council. Second?
Second that.
Second, Councilor Lou. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Correspondence. We didn't have any tonight. We'll have that available on the next one. Commissioner Mayor's report. My good news was we have water back. And I'm looking forward to going up and taking a real shower in Detroit instead of using my camp shower that runs out of water after 3 gallons, or 2.5, whatever it is. I'm in meetings pretty much every day in terms of with FEMA or 2 tomorrow and different things like that. Also taking care of some personal issues, so go from there. Just going down the list, Councilor Engel.
I did receive an accounting today that we have done about 8 building permits in the last 3 weeks. So that's very, very exciting. That's my short report.
Thank you. Councilor Page. Parks.
Oh. I don't really have a report as it stands right now for parks. But with water flowing, I'm going to make a recommendation in the near future that we get the restrooms open back up at the park and maybe thin down how many portable toilets we're paying for, try and cut city expenses as soon as possible. We still need some around town, but we should, if we got water flowing and we can flow it at the city restrooms there, I'd like to get those open back up as soon as possible. And then that concludes it for me with parks. We've got some staining that's going to happen on the benches. And we have purchased some fertilizer, although I hope we just don't throw it until it rains because we can't really water our grass yet because we don't have enough water, but maybe we can hit it just before it rains and green it up a little bit. That's it.
Thank you.
Counselor Page. I know that every FEMA meeting, we always talk about that we have not tested the sprinkler system, that we don't know of the damage of the fires or not. So will we be now at least testing the system to see if it's even working so that we can close that conversation with FEMA?
I'll follow up on that. Thanks for reminding me. I'll make sure.
I have a report on that, Shelley.
Oh,
There are two or three, Mike said, that have the sprinkler heads have been burnt. They need to be replaced. So there might be some in the utility room. If not, we'll purchase those. And Mike called today, and we're gonna told him to go ahead and get the bathrooms ready. We noticed when I was up there is damage to the bathrooms when I was told there wasn't. There is. So yeah. Anyway, we're gonna open the bathrooms as well.
great.
Thank you. Counselor Shepherd.
I gave a pretty full report last week. Not a whole lot's changed, but I did get some comprehensive maps from the Baird Group in reference to the watershed damage. And I'm coming up with a list of projects to do in East Detroit. I've been getting together with some Forest Service people, and I'd like to, they're gonna plant 40,000 acres in the next 3 years. And they told me that they wouldn't be planting the Mackey Creek drainage this year, but I was gonna see if we could put some emphasis on maybe having them plant it this spring, but we'll see what happens. But that's about all for now.
Thank you. Counselor Luke.
We have water. So, I mean, I can't wait to here very shortly, I hope, start mixing concrete.
Gonna go like this. You've done your job.
Anything else? Okay, Counselor Tesdale.
So on a personal level, we're in the works with our home designs. And so we're super excited about that. And then we're going to be living in the fifth wheel full time until our house is built so we can get the kids back into the school in Mill City. So we're really happy about that, to be back around playing in the ashes or whatnot. As far as tourism goes, I just got some maps, some historic trails and bike path maps. I guess it was a couple of decades ago, maybe in the 2000s, where they were trying to do some connectivity. So I just am now starting to do research on that, trying to get some conversation going with the government entities, seeing what kind of grants we could get, trying to make some of those backspaces connected. I know that it's unusual to start talks now, especially with the blackened forest, but I know government is also slow. So if I can bring that in, bring some bicyclists and hikers back in, get to enjoy the new growth and see what happens after fire. So that's just I just got the maps yesterday or today. I haven't had a chance to look at them.
Councilor Tisdale, that's fabulous. You know, we did have a grant awarded to us for this whole bike thing. So, and that's why we have the pump station, for instance, at the park. So if you want background on that, if you don't have it, I'm not assuming, if you don't have it, Yvonne Mesmer was the one who wrote that grant, and she can give you a lot of the details. And I have no idea of the circumstances of it now after the fires and everything, but she's a great resource to reach out to, as well as perhaps Debbie Rule.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Councilor Luke.
I just had a quick question. I've been wondering, and we've had a few meetings, but quite a while back, there was a organization, SANIM something, and they wanted to award us and build a amphitheater or something in the park, and I was just wondering if there was anything on that that had been going on, or if they had a time frame or any of that kind of stuff. And that could be for another meeting. I just keep forgetting to ask when we had a meeting.
I know it's still in the works. We haven't heard anything from them recently. I did call Todd Miller, who is the superintendent of the San Diego School District, asking if he had a timeline for getting the trailer out of there. But we haven't heard anything definitive from them for a while. Councilor Page and I met with them up there, what, a month or so, over a month ago. So I know that's, my understanding is still in the works.
The architect is still working on those plans to submit to the city and to council for a review. So we'll get a final rendering of plans, and that's a completely privately funded, here it is build. The city has no skin in that other than to provide the space. And it's got a pictorial design to it that depicts the canyon. It's a canyon portal. It's not a specific Detroit amphitheater. It's a canyon amphitheater, but it's the portal into the wildfire, and tells a lot of the story. But they haven't got that final design done, and as soon as that happens, it'll be something available for the city to look at before it goes to final press.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay. Councilor Smith.
I have nothing new to report. I know Deputy Olson's on here. Do you have anything you want to put out there, Deputy Olson?
He looks busy.
Sorry, I was actually talking to the Mill City or the school district director, and his daughter lives right next door to me, and he said it'll be out by Thursday.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the update.
Awesome. He was standing outside, so it worked out pretty good.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping for rain. I can tell you that. I think we need some rain. I know the weather's nice, but we need the water level to come up, and also a good soaking on all those burned areas would not be a big thing. As far as issues, there was not very many people up there today, kind of less than what I expected. So I don't have anything to report on that side. I am going to attend the Firewise meeting. I think it's the 24th. And then I'll kind of start getting that plan in place for an evacuation plan for Detroit and Indiana. Hopefully we never need it, but if we can put it together, we can. So other than that, keep reporting stuff if you see.
Councilman Smith, this is Deputy Chief Faust. I have an update if you'd like it.
I love it. Thank you.
So first, I want to say I think we all need to be grateful, right? That we're still here, that we navigated a pandemic, that we navigated the fires, we navigated the ice storm. As far as the district goes, we are working on surplusing the vehicles that are the storage facility. We have to have those out by May 1st. We've got the tender out. We're hoping to make 10 to 15,000 on that. We've sold one of the older rigs to the museum. So we're working hard on reducing our fleet, if you will, and making sure the vehicles we do have are sound mechanically. Funding and grants, we're waiting on the House Bill 5042, which Mayor Trent talked about. We also would be allocated some funds if the governor signs off on that. Those funds would be used as gap funding to help us augment the loss of our tax base and keep the lights on past this year. We are also waiting on a WUI grant, Wildland Urban Interface grant from Oregon State Fire Marshal. We should find out about that on the 15th. That will be another win if it comes through. And we just talked to the San Am Wildfire Relief Group on Friday, and they are making a large donation, hopefully here soon, more importantly, they are looking to partner with us for the years to come as we start to hopefully develop the campus of the property that was donated to us there in Idana, and start to not just maintain, but become tactically sound and prepared for whatever the future may present to us. Grants and funding. Our numbers are picking back up. So we lost quite a bit of volunteers after the fire due to no longer having homes up here or whatever the circumstances may be. But our volunteer numbers are picking back up locally there in Idana, and some out of district responders who just wanted to help, seeing the toll that we're kind of carrying as a fire district. There is a burn ban in place for Marion County till the 18th. They'll reevaluate them the 19th. We have low humidity. We have moderate winds and high temperatures for the next 4 days or so. That being said, as a district, we still want people to burn their slash piles, their burn piles, but do that responsibly. Like, make sure we're watching it, right? Because we'd much rather get those fuels, those dead down fuels. We'd much rather get them out of here now, burnt up now, than when we're looking at summer temperatures, right? So as long as folks are burning responsibly, we're not going to shut it down here in district. Just make sure you're taking those precautions. With that being said, we went on a call today, which was a low risk fire. It was a fire that was underground, right? So that means that we still have fire from the 2020 fires in our district. And the fire community, if you will, Fire Defense Board, everyone who's been doing this a lot longer than I, are on high alert, rightly so, in part because of the 2020 fires, but also because of the fuels that we have around us. So I would just encourage you all to kind of keep that in mind as we move forward, as we start doing rebuilds. Just be conscious of the fuels, meaning the trees and dead down timber that we have around us. Last thing I have is a quote. Life is difficult, but we're all love. Okay, so let's hang in there, gang, and do this as a team. Any questions?
Yeah, Deputy Garrett.
Yep.
Greg Shepherd. Yeah, could you tell us where that fire was? Underground fire?
I didn't run on that. I was on a burn pile. It came off as milepost 56. Forest Service was there. Our folks in the Forest Service knocked it out. Got to exercise some of our equipment. In May, we'll begin to do our wildland camp or school, if you will. So we'll start training our new folks to be more proficient at wildland suppression come May.
Okay, so that's close to the McCoy Road then, just east of Idana.
Correct.
Yeah, was that did you find out if it was like a burn pile, like a slash pile, or was it a root system? Or
I believe it was a root system. I don't know that for sure, because as I said, I wasn't on the call, but the text message I got from Lieutenant Harris was a underground fire from the root system. I don't know if that was, as I said, from the 2020 fires or from a slash pile that was, in the vicinity. I don't have all those details for you, Councilor Schrepp.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilor Tesdale.
Yep. Just a real quick one for Damon. Damon, thanks for joining us and waiting through the meeting. And this is for Damon and the rest of the council, but I was wondering if we could see if we get the fire department back on the agenda so we could hear those reports. I've been missing those.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, Councilor Smith had asked that, and myself or Chief Ewing will absolutely try to make ourselves available whenever we can. We, as well in the district, we're limited in our bandwidth, and we're trying to get those funds, and sometimes we have a conflict. But if we're invited, we'll at least let you know if someone's going to show up or not.
Well, Damon, why don't you just plan for you're invited? And
very good,
let
sir.
us know if you can't be there, so we know to move past it and announce that you're busy.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Damon.
Ken Woodward, could you give us a quick one on the sewer authority? You're on mute.
Thank you, Mayor Tripp. Had a quick phone conversation with one of the colleagues Friday. I can't tell you exactly what was said. Very promising news for Idana and Detroit. That's all I can discuss. So it's really great for the sewer
And why
system.
bring?
And so, and also I just want to say, Damon, Deputy Chief Damon, you're awesome. I was glad to be a part of the Zoom meeting. You guys are great. And I look forward to the support from the North, or well, not from the North Santiam, but the Santiam Canyon Wildfire Relief Fund. It's awesome.
Thank you. Moving along, public comment.
Mayor Trett?
Mr. Day.
Thanks. I don't know if this is appropriate time for me to, I wanted to discuss my role moving forward with the council. I thought this might be a good place for me to interject.
All right.
Okay. First thing is, feel free to call me Ross. Mr. Day is my dad. So when people say Mr. Day, I look around to see if my dad's right behind me. So moving forward, what I'm intending to do, first of all, I sent everybody a scope of work memo. Did everybody get a chance to, did everyone receive that? That's really the first question. You didn't, Councilor Luke didn't, Councilor Shepherd?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so I emailed it out to the email addresses that we had, and I noticed that some people are using WVI and some people are using other ones. One of the things that I'm going to work on, I'm going to assist, my firm is going to assist with getting the agendas set and the agendas published, as well as the documentation to you as fast as we can. The hope is that we'll have them in your email inbox by Friday, late morning, early afternoon at the latest. We have, on top of that, it's kind of hand in hand, is council rules of procedure. You don't really have council rules of procedure. And those rules of procedure are necessary. Most cities have them because they help you figure out how you're going to get things on the agenda. Because right now they appear to just kind of appear on the agenda because there's a lot of stuff that you guys need to get to do or need to get done. So I'm going to assist as much as I can with that. The other issue is with our public records compliance as well. The public records laws are pretty strict, and we need to make sure we have compliance with those. So I'll be working with all of you, I hope, in getting us squared away on our public records retention program, as well as making sure that we're in compliance with the public records laws. And then I will assist with drafting orders and resolutions and ordinances as well. And then last is, I know at the last meeting, there was an issue or a question about contacting the city attorney and those sorts of things. I represent, and I want to make sure that we're clear on this, I represent now the city of Detroit. I don't represent any individual counselor. And so therefore, if you've got an ethics or campaign finance question or something of that nature, that's not something that I'm would be able to assist with. But if you have questions about, your role as a city councilor, can you do X, Y, and Z on behalf of the city? I'm happy to answer that. You all should have my contact information. If not, I'll make sure that we get it to you. You can email me is always best, or you can call. What I'll tell you is that my paralegal is Heather, and she runs my life. So if you can't get a hold of me, get a hold of Heather, and she'll get it. She'll get the message to me. So my own personal policy is to get back to you within 48 hours. So I'll do my best to get back to you within 48 hours, hopefully a lot sooner than that. If not, feel free to call. That's that's really what I'm here for. I'm here to hopefully answer questions you might have about, whatever, so that we can maybe smooth out some of the procedural rough spots that we have in our meetings. Anyways, and then whatever else that you all, ask me to do, I'll do my best to take care of. So that's short and sweet as I could make it. A summary of kind of what I'm intending to do. And of course, obviously, it's all subject to whatever the council directs. But yeah, so I appreciate the opportunity to help out.
Thank you, appreciate it. So, any other public comment? Hearing none. Next meeting will be. What?
I have one. I have a question for all city council members. This is Tom Rose. I have some trees that are on city-owned property / our property line. Is it okay for us to rip them out? They're small, they're dead, they were burnt up. And also, the first bill that you had put in there, you told us it was the September 9th, 2021 fires. I'd just like to correct you. It was September 9th, 2020 fires.
Correct. Mr. Ross, I'd suggest you call the city staff about the trees on the property line so we can kind of work things out. Okay? I know if they're dead, we both want them down. So go from there. Okay, so and with what we were talking about earlier, if you do have an agenda item to kind of subject it, I had it here. It should be into council and to staff no later than Thursday, the 19th, for inclusion on Friday's agenda. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Councilor Page moves to adjourn. Councilor Shippers seconds. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions. We are adjourned at 7:52 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
It's a sunset anyway.
I'm waiting for it to get lower so we can have a sunset.